What's up, everybody? Kyle Barboza here, bass player, music educator, and today we're working on some exercises that will feature left hand position shifting, which is a technique that I think is pretty slept on. And so we're going to get your left hand moving all around the fretboard. Now, some of these exercises are going to be maybe seemingly pretty basic at first, but if you're an advanced student, I've got some ways that are going to make these pretty hairy for you, so keep watching. Here we go. The first set of exercises we're going to do just features the major scale, and I'm going to show you in the key of G. And by the way, I'm going to attach a PDF of all of these exercises, so that'll be in the description. But okay, so we're going to be in the key of G, G major, and my 1-octave G major scale, as I've shown you, or you've probably seen somewhere else even, is just this finger pattern 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, right? That's a surefire way to do an 1-octave major scale. Well, we're going to alter that a little bit to get this position shifting into the exercise. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep the first two notes just as they are, okay? You can play them with 2 and 4, or in this exercise, you can play them first finger and third finger like that as well. And we're going to take the second two portions of the scale, the 1, 2, 4, and the 1, 3, 4, and we're going to move them down a string. So actually, I'm going to move that 1, 2, 4 down to this E string here. So it's going to look like this. I'm going to go G and then to A, like that. And then I'm going to move up the string 2 frets to do my 1, 2, 4, and then I'm going to move to the next string for the 1, 3, 4, okay? So this is the exercise. Check it out. The fingering is either 2 and 4 if you want, or I'm going to do it with 1 and 3. So 1, 3, and then shifting up 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, and then back down 4, 3, 1, 4, 2, 1, and then shifting to 3, 1. Now you can see that this one features that shift in the middle. Okay, so I started with this one because it's maybe the easiest one in this series of exercises, but what I want you to make sure of is when you're working on position shifting, which is absolutely an essential skill that you're going to need to work on, you want to make sure of a couple things. The first thing is where your thumb placement is. Make sure none of this on these exercises, please. You people with gigantic hands that can do this stuff and get away with it, I envy you greatly, but you're also robbing yourself of technique. So on all of these exercises, thumb in the middle of the neck. Putting your thumb up like this can be comfortable when you're just grooving, you know. For some people, it's not comfortable for me, but for some people it is. That's fine, but just understand that when you play the bass that way, it's like going to do the 100-meter dash in construction boots. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're definitely robbing yourself of a lot of leverage, of a lot of movement and freedom to get around the neck. So anyway, okay, so that's what you want to make sure of in these exercises. Now, when you shift your positions, you're also wanting to make sure that you keep your fingers low, basically, and you want to shift quickly. So if you're working on these exercises slowly, which I definitely encourage you to do at first, even when you're doing it slowly, try to have some movement on your shift. Like don't take your time with it like that. Okay? Really try to aim for the end of the fret and move to it quickly. The faster your left hand moves, and this is really important, the faster your left hand moves when you shift, the more connected your notes will sound. So that's the first exercise. Here's a way to make that one hairy. We're going to take that same fingering with that one position shift. I'm going to put my metronome on 60 BPM. We're going to go from quarter notes, so I'll end it in quarter notes, to eighth notes, right? Same things apply. Nice disciplined technique. Then triplets. And just continually playing through it. So it's not going to end on beat 1. Sixteenth notes. I'm rushing a little bit. And if you're a hot shot on this one, quintuplets. And then septuplets. Sorry, sextuplets. Okay. And septuplets if you can get there, and so on and so forth. Anyway, I don't want to waste too much of your time. But for those of you who are more advanced, see if you can get up to those higher subdivisions. And with all the exercises I show you here, I know I'm kind of going at length with this first one, but all the exercises I show you here, do this exercise with if you're an advanced student. If you're a beginner, stick to quarters, stick to eighth notes, work on the smoothness of your position shifting. If you're more advanced, intermediate, starting to get into keeping it smooth but going faster, okay? Let's talk about some arpeggio exercises, all right? So first one we're going to do is a major arpeggio from that major scale. Let's stay in the key of G. So this next exercise is just going to be a 1-octave arpeggio, okay? Here's the first variation of it. This is the simplest and the easiest, and it features 1 shift, all right? So our arpeggio in G, remember in a scale, the major arpeggio for the scale, or the arpeggio for the root note is the 1st scale degree, the 3rd scale degree, the 5th, and then we're going to go to the octave, okay, because it's just a major chord. So 1, 3, 5, 8, G, B, G, B, D, and then G at the top. But we're going to finger it like this, okay? G with our first finger, and then we're going to jump, shift all the way to B on the same string. So we're shifting up 2 whole steps. See that? And then first finger D, and then we're going to bar it to the octave, okay? So it looks like this. And then we're going to go backwards. Okay, pretty simple exercise. Once again, if you want to work on this starting in quarters or half notes, and then move to eighth notes, move to triplets, great, okay? And on this one, you can certainly, as well as all these exercises, you can move through different keys with this one. You can do 1, 3, 5, octave, back, down, then go up a half step. Same pattern. Go up a half step, right? Keep going. Or you can move through the circle of fourths with it. Check it out. Starting in G to C. Same pattern. Then F, right? I'm just going to go fast here. B flat. And so on. Then E flat. All right, I'm moving all through the fretboard here. If I keep going here, I'm going to get all over the place. I'm going to be in A flat, D flat, G flat, B, and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? So all these exercises, it's up to you how you string these together and how you work on them rhythmically. But again, we're concentrating on that shift in the exercise. Now, here's a little variation on the major arpeggio exercise for the more intermediate or advanced students that are looking to get to the next level of working through their shifting and up the fretboard, is to go, instead of this 1 shift, right, to the 3rd, and then barring the 5th and octave, we're going to put the octave on the same string as the 5th. Okay, so it's going to look like this. We're going to jump in G. We're going to jump to B, then go to the 5th, D, and then we're going to jump with our pinky, a position shift all the way up to G. Okay, right? Again, I'm keeping my grip on the string as light as I can without getting buzzing, and trying to keep my thumb right in the middle of the neck, like this. Trying to move as parallel as I can, and with as little tension as I can, all right? Check it out with the metronome. This one can get hairy. It's fun. We'll start with eighth notes. Wow, I'm rushing today. There we go. Triplets. I'm going to blame it on trying to talk and play at the same time, which I'm terrible at. 16th. Ah. Quintuplets. Okay, so and so on and so forth. Okay, smoothing out those position shifts. Man, this is so beneficial. This is so beneficial. Let me just interject here. Ooh. Man, too much coffee this morning. Let me just interject about the practicality of this. It's like, well, I'm not going to be playing, arpeggios like that all the time. It's like, yeah, you're not. But you know what? When you want to, let's say we're on a G chord, and when I want to go up to that octave, but I don't want it to sound as sharp as the D string sounds, as thin as that, or as thin as the open G. So if I'm playing a bass line like in a Motown tune or something like that, right? Something like that. If I don't want that thinness of the G string, and let's say I want to use some sliding notes and stuff, this sounds better. Right? Something like that sounds a little fatter, and it's possible because I'm used to shifting in those ways. Here's a really granular, kind of boring, robotic one, but that'll definitely get you shifting. And this one's a little weird. I want you to pick a dot on the fretboard. Pick a string, pick a dot. So I'm going to go on this, 5th fret dot. I'm going to go on the D string, so I'm going to play this G here, 5th fret D string, right? And I'm just going to play that note over and over again. It's going to sound like this, but I'm going to keep shifting from finger to finger on that same fret. Check it out. Okay, so 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's harder than it looks. Okay, so that's one. What it's doing is I'm making little micro shifts here. All right, and my thumb is moving just a little bit each time. But it's training me to shift fast enough to where the note is continuing and it feels legato, not like this. So don't let yourself get this kind of sound. If you do this at the beginning and put space between the notes, that's fine. That's fine to try to get it going. Go as slow as you need to, right? In fact, I'm going to encourage you to put space between the notes at the beginning if you're a beginner, okay? But as you work on it, I want you to try to make this as legato as possible. Quarters, eighths, triplets. If you do this one in triplets, hell, you're better than me. I'm not ready for that. Anyway. All right, cool. Another one. Let's see. Oh, I love this one. Okay. So this one's compliments of the chef. I like to do this. This is one I don't know. Somebody else probably came up with this at some point, and it doesn't sound really original, but I really love this exercise as a shifting exercise because it sounds melodic and it has a lot of shifting in it. So check this one out. And this is something you can absolutely use in your bass line writing and stuff because it sounds really good. Let's go back to G. And here's what we're going to do. This one's going to start in and end in your box position. So by box position, I mean this kind of 2-fret spread that we do. The 1st, the 5th, the octave, right? And then we can put the 3rd in there at the top. That kind of position that we use a lot as bass players. It's going to start there with the 1st and the 5th, and then it's going to end there with the octave, 5th, and root note. And when I do the octave, 5th, and root note, I'm going to finger it 4th finger, 3rd finger, and first finger. I'm not going to bar it like this, and you'll see why in a second. Okay, so here's the exercise. This is going to be like in 3/4 time, and it's going to be in eighth notes, and I'm going to go 1, 5th, okay, and then I'm going to shift up 2 frets to the 9th. Then 2 frets, so first finger, third finger, and then I'm going to shift down to the octave 5th first. So it's going to sound like this. Check it out. Okay, that's the first part of the exercise. All right, so that in itself is a nice little shifting exercise. Check all that shifting out. Shift up to here, and then shift down to that original position, okay? As smooth and as legato as possible, as slow as you need to go. PSAP, painfully slow and precise, however slow you gotta go. But move that shifting hand to make it sound smooth. Okay, so I'm gonna do that twice. There's a couple ways you can do this exercise. One is a 1-4-5 progression. One is going to be through the circle of fifths. So here's the 1-4-5 progression because I think this one's a little easier. We're going to keep that same shape through this whole exercise, right? Like this. Then we're going to do it on the 4. So 1 string up. And then we're going to go up 2 frets. And then back down to the 1. So when we get to the 5, we're not actually going to finish it. We're going to go straight to the 1 so that it's in time. So check it out in completion. Ready? You can do each one twice if you want. I like to do them twice. That's one way to do it. Now, there's a way you can do this exercise, the 1-4-5 one, and go down in whole steps through multiple keys. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring this one all the way up to this dot here, 9th fret, C sharp, okay, or D flat. And I'm going to do that same shape in the 1-4-5. And check out what I'm going to do on the last one, okay? So I'm going to go 1, 4, 5, and then 1 in minor, okay? So when I get back to the 1, I'm going to go first finger, third finger on the 5th. I'm going to shift up to the 9th like I did before, but instead of going to the major 3rd here with my 3rd finger, I'm going to do my 2nd finger here on the minor 3rd. So I'm showing you 2 different shapes that you can use from a root note that sound really cool. One is 1, 5, 9, and then the major 3rd. This one's going to be 1, 5, 9, and then the minor 3rd. This works on minor chords, okay? And when I do that one on the end, so I get to the 5th one, I do my 5th one, and then I'm going to do the first one minor. It's going to make it sound smooth when I go down 2 frets to the next key. So I'm going to go from D flat when I do the minor one, down 2 frets to B, and continue the exercise. Okay, and I'll have this one written out for you. Minor. How pretty does that sound? Isn't that cool? And so on and so forth. This is a nice little position shifting exercise, and bonus points if you can do this one without looking at the bass. Okay, this is more, remember I said I could make it hairy for you? Well, one way to make this one hairy is by trying to do it without looking at the bass. I don't even know if I can. So this one would be valuable for me. Right? So this one's really valuable. You got to be able to play the bass without looking sometimes. So Learning the fretboard without looking is also really valuable. Okay, and finally, let me show you a variation to this one that will bring you through 2-5-1s in the circle of fifths. Love this one a lot. Let's just start on G since I've been showing you that one. Okay, so we'll start with the major shape that I showed you, 1, 5, and then shift up to 9, and then the 3. Right? We'll do that twice. Here's the second time. Then the third time, we're going to do the minor shape. Right? And then we're going to go to the 4 chord. Okay? So the minor shape, 4 chord, and then resolve it down 2 frets. So this is essentially a 2, minor 2, and then a 5 chord, 1. And we start the exercise over again on F. Minor, 5, and then it resolves. This one's going to have to resolve up here to E flat, all right? So this exercise, going through the 2-5-1s, as you can see, I've ended on E flat. Now I'm going to have to go from the A string shape. Then when I do my minor one, I'm going to have to shift to the E string for A flat for the 5 chord, right? And then resolve to the 1 chord. So you're going to get 2 different patterns here through this exercise, okay? Love this exercise. Really nice position shifting stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any more. I think that's pretty good for today. Anyway, check out that PDF. Let me know if you tried any of these and if they got your hands moving. This is such an important skill. I think it's one that's kind of ignored by a lot of bass teachers and a lot of bass players. But it's really, really important. We kind of take it for granted. But being able to shift positions up the fretboard, so important. And hopefully this will give you a few new avenues to play bass lines with. Even the simple shapes like I was talking about. Even the major scale shape, being able to go, up the scale from a 1 chord to a 4 chord instead of always going to the next string. Right? Being able to set yourself up for different material, different bass lines by being able to shift up the fretboard. So valuable. I hope it's valuable for you. It was valuable for me. All right. All right. Have a good one. See you next time. Take care.